Steak. Hey, I appreciate you popping in and saying hi. Love you bunches as well. I hope you're doing well, dude. Miss you. I was just sharing that I was live in all the different places. Share. I'm just sharing one more place and then we'll get going. Hey, Wolf. Welcome in. How are you doing? I am just finalizing posting about being live. All right. Cool. I have now posted on the different appropriate channels. Let's get this going. So we finished up all the shading for all the foliage and things like that. Now it is time for all of the plants. Not the plants, sorry, the fish and the creatures and all that. So, yeah. I was working on some other stuff, so I need to swap back over to that coloring brush. Because of the type of things that jellies are here, I think what I actually want to do is do a very soft transition between the light and the I think it'll look a lot nicer to do it this way. And the main area for that soft transition is going to be on the top part here. Welcoming we. I'm glad that you're here for the good vibes. We're currently just working on the shading process for this basic land for Magic the Gathering. I was initially saying that I wanted to do it this way, but I don't know, I'm not feeling this. Let me just check this right here. Did I do the right one? I did. Okay. So we are using the right shade. Okay. I'm just going to clear that out. We're going to figure it out. Reminder that if you guys have any questions as I'm working on this, feel free to ask. I'm happy to stop and explain how I've done something or how to do something if it is at all wanted. as per usual, at the start of this process, I'm just jumping around and getting different parts worked on. So I'm sorry. So I am really wanting to get this done this week. Oh, sorry, within this next week. So like, um, I'm hoping that I can have everything done by the time that our next stream next Friday is finished. Because I have some more of these I want to do, but I have one that I need to be working on outside of this, outside of a stream. But I also want to do some holiday themed streams with art, and then also hoping to do, again, with the Kickstarter and all that I'm wanting to do for these cards. I'm wanting these all to be done by the end of the month, ideally, because then I can order samples of cards, and I would be able to have them arrive and get some decent product shots of what sorry jeez, I need to drink something. Goodness. All right, but yeah, I'm hoping to be able to do all that and get those product shots by the start of February, ideally. And then what I'm thinking is I will run a month-long Kickstarter and then go from there. Also, I am looking forward to so I'm gonna, again, trying to start through, um, trying to like think through ideas of like ideas or reels or different things like that that I can post um, to social media. One of the things I'm going to be doing is I went to Universal Studios yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. I had a blast just getting to go around, see all the different stuff, and yeah. And so I'm just one of the things that I enjoy whenever I go to Universal is the Wizarding World. Now, something about the Wizarding World is like, again, I don't have I'm not someone who has just like a lot of money to just drop on stuff. However, in my adult life, I very much have enjoyed Harry Potter, and as someone who is on Hufflepuff, like from the tests and all this different stuff, who would be, I feel like it is a fairly accurate identifier for me with everything that I know about the house. So yeah, with being in Hufflepuff, I was like, yesterday, I was like, oh, I should get a sweater or hoodie. Well, one, they didn't have hoodies. I love hoodies. I am bald by choice. I should preface. Either way, I am bald, and that means when it's cold out, my head can get cold. So I enjoy things with pockets. One, two. I very much enjoy like hoodies. And so I was going, what can I do to make something that works well and that will last a long time? And as I was there, I was like, you know what? I want to just, what would it cost, comparatively speaking, to get the materials, like get some acrylic paint, get a nice yellow hoodie, and make myself a Hufflepuff hoodie. And that is what I looked at, and I saw the cost online, and I'm like, you know what? I can swing that. And here's the thing. All in all, with like all the paint I will need, plus probably more. I probably got twice as much paint as I'll actually need, to be honest. I will be able to make a hoodie at half the cost. And of course, this might be me being cocky, but I think I can probably make something that looks nicer. So when this stuff comes in for me to be able to make a hoodie, which it will be, I think, Monday. So it will be a project for probably, I'm guessing, Thursday, as Thursday will be a day of me recovering from the day I have on Wednesday of cooking, because I'm going to be doing a lot of cooking on Wednesday. Um, hey, Parker, how's it going? You doing well? Also, for anyone who is into gaming, out of curiosity, did you see any of the announcements made during the Games Awards? Uh, I mainly asked because I was not aware that there was new Tomb Raider games being worked on, and I am very excited for the games. I am a big Tomb Raider fan. Yeah, it has been a little while. Um, I mean, every week around this time is when I try to stream, so. But I know for some people, Friday evenings can be a bit busy. I don't know what these little guys are supposed to be. I don't know if they are anchovies, sardines, or like something like that. I have no clue. But the little dudes. The new one they announced two. One's coming out in 2027. The one about Atlantis comes out next year. It's a remake of one of the older games, but besides a demo, I never got to really play any of the older games. So I'm looking forward to it. And I see your work ends at random times, so yeah, that does make it difficult to pop into a stream. But I am glad that you were able to make it to this one and come hang out. You're always welcome to message me, by the way. The first major art When was the first major art project that I did that I felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment? I mean, I would probably have to say the two third-party D&D books I did, especially the second one. I had a lot more freedom with the second one, and so it was definitely something that I had a lot more passion about. And so being like seeing that come to life and seeing all these people like picking up these books and then getting to go to Gen Con where we sold the books and people realizing that I was an artist and getting all excited and sorry, and wanting me to sign books and things like that was a very surreal experience. And it was so much fun. But yeah, I think being able to actually create a product like that was such a such a cool thing for me. Um, and just being given that freedom to just create and all that. Like there was still very much a deadline, but being able to have that space to just do something like that was really fun. Um, so I only illustrated the book. Um, the authors were my partners, Steak and Brandon, and yeah, they reached out and wanted me as a partner with like because of my art and all that. So I was like the person who did all the art for them with the things that they were doing, um, because again, the reason they reached out is they were like, you know, your cartoony art style is exactly what we that's what we think of when we think of our stuff. And so it was just this really wonderful partnership in that sense because they understood like the stuff that I did and like my art style, and it was specifically because of that they were like, yes, we want you. Though there were minor errors, but I will say I did help on writing some things, but I was not a primary writer. So, like, example with Benji's Guide to Rentucky Island, which was the second book we did, um, I basically had free reign and got to design the entirety of the island that these creatures and characters were inhabiting. And through that as well, I got to, yeah, just have a lot of fun with it. Um, and basically come up with like ideas of like, okay, this sort of thing would take place here, or this sort of thing would take place here, and presented it to them, and they're like, oh yeah, this is great. So yeah, and then they would take those ideas and they would run with it, and do all the writing for it, whether that was stuff for the creatures or the locations, whatever it might have been. Well, I will say, someone wanting your work because that's exactly what they're looking for. Sound Like a Dream is a very obtainable dream, because most people, little fun fact, as they start to follow you for your art, connecting with you for your art, is because they like what you do. And so the more you do it, the more you connect with people who like that stuff. Yeah, you'll find people who will go, "Oh, but can you do this?" And it's learning to like, and this can be very challenging when first starting out with art, especially when you haven't had any sort of like commission work or things like that. But it's learning to say, "Hey, like, I appreciate you wanting me to, like, asking if I can do this. This is not something I can or will do." Um, and some of that sometimes is saying, "Hey, my friend over here, they would be perfect for this job, like with what you're wanting." Because if it's going to take you too much time, too much work to create what they're wanting, you don't want it anyways. You don't want that job. But yeah, those books were very stressful. Like, there was a lot because, again, I had deadlines and all this stuff. There's quite a few nights where I was just up all night working on stuff. My my sleep schedule was more or less flipped because, again, like, it also worked out that when I did those books was during COVID, because um, our work, like my work here, was more or less on pause during COVID. I was living here in Japan, but like the work was on pause. And so I was able to be up all night working on these books. But again, it was a different season. Things worked out well, and it was a lot of fun. I have a lot of little like areas of like little bragging rights that I love from these projects, but it was definitely something where it was worked out because of COVID being a thing and just a lot of stuff at the time being like shut down, like work and all that. So I had the freedom, and I was given the freedom by my work as well to just basically do that. So it was wonderful. One of those areas where I say quite a few bragging rights. One of the things I find very fun is for anyone who is aware of like D&D related stuff or things like college humor, dropout, and all that. It's now dropout. You're probably familiar with like some of the D&D stuff that they do, or like their different shows, but through working on these books and the stuff that we did with D&D, I got to, for a charity event that we were doing, I got to illustrate and design based off of descriptions I was given by the people, D&D characters for Abria Eingar and Ifiwadiwe, as well as for several of the several of the Cleveland Brown NFL players, Johnny Stent, Wyatt Teller, and Miles Garrett. And so it was a lot of fun just getting to do something like that as well. But I will say that area of working with the NFL was more of bragging rights, especially towards my mom's side of the family who love the NFL and football and all this stuff. For me, I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I was more aware of Iffy than anyone else from those people. And so for me, that was like the area that I was like, oh, that's cool. And Iffy and I are actually mutuals on Twitter/X because of that. And so it's those sort of areas where it's just kind of fun to be able to be like, oh yeah, I'm connected with those sort of people in that context. Johnny Stanton is no longer part of the NFL, but he and I have stayed connected as well. And just, yeah. So it's just those sort of things where it's like, I don't know, I don't see these people and go, oh yeah, these are like, because of like, look at the stuff that they did in like the NFL or things like that. That stuff, I don't know, I don't care about it. It was more so that I got to tell my mom's family who loves that stuff, like, oh yeah, look, I got to do this. And in certain aspects, it's that area where, for them, not fully, but like, I don't fully get this from them, but like, there's aspects of it where like, you can kind of feel like those areas of like, well, are you doing something that is actually worthwhile? Are you doing something that you can make a living off of? And so being able to do things like that where it is, even though I don't really give a shit about it, but it's connected to the NFL, for so many people, they recognize that stuff and they go, oh wow, that's really cool. I'm like, yeah, it's really cool. Like, it is cool, but it's just not something that I care that deeply about. it's in that same vein of like through that as well. I ended up going and getting to attend one of the Cleveland Brown training days. Like their training days were like they're practicing out on the field and all that. And we were guests of Johnny Stanton. So that was just one of those really cool things. So we were in like the VIP section, and just getting to experience things that way was a lot of fun. So the art that I'm doing right now on screen, what made me like do this, is I play a game called Magic the Gathering. It is a trading card game, and it started as me going, oh yeah, there's like all these lands, and I have a deck that is filled with squirrels. And I went, these lands are great and all, but I want a deck with like lands with squirrels on them. And there's not, in my opinion, there's not nice lands with squirrels. And because of that, I was like, okay, I'm going to create my own, which were swamps and forests. And I shared those to Reddit when I did them, and I got a lot of positive feedback from sharing those lands, and people were like, these are amazing, I love these. And basically came down to people saying, are you going to do these other ones? If you do, I'll like, I would love, like, this is something I'd actually buy. And so because of that, I was like, you know what? I like, that is something I can do. I can take the time and I can make lands that are of the islands, the plains, and the mountains as well. So it's not just forest and swamp. And so that's what started it. And again, it's also the aspect of it that I just was like, it would be like, it, as someone who's just taking this year as well to just improve my art, um, things like this as well are good practices because it helps me like with going, okay, I'm going to create a full illustrated image. Um, and it's not necessarily like, oh yeah, look how easy this is. Like, I mean, you can see I'm on this stream. I've been working on this outside of um what you can call it, the sketch. I did the initial like super rough sketch on one of the art meetups that I attend. Besides that, pretty much everything has been on stream, and like from the sketching to the inking, like all of that has been on stream. And we are now on part 12. And when you think about the fact that most streams on average are 2 to 3 hours, we're looking at the fact that I've been doing this for like working on this image for at least 24 hours now, which is pretty crazy. But I also really love how it's coming along and just how beautiful it is. Now some of the stuff like what I'm doing right now, the reality is it's not going to be seen at like a card scale level, but if I choose to make a large poster of this, it will be seen. So those are like, it's things like that that I'm going, okay, not necessarily every little aspect of this is going to be seen, but I know it's there and I want to make it look nice still. I have not properly sold large posters of my art. I'm not sure off the top of my head where I would go about selling those. That would be something to definitely look into because I have some things like, so I'm going to minimize this briefly, like this image right here that I did. Things like this are some of those sort of things that I would definitely sell as a large print. As well as the current image that I'm working on right now. There's lots of that, lots of different things that I would love to do, but it would need to be it would probably end up being expensive because it would be a print-on-demand service. Sounds good, Parker. I will let you know if I figure that out. I do postcard prints. That's something I do because I can mail those out easily enough. But large scale prints, I haven't necessarily figured those out yet. But yes, if and when I figure it out, I will let you know. For this, this art, they are going to be postcard prints as well as, I mean, they're going to be on trading cards, and so it is something where, yeah, I'm hoping I can I can get enough of these done because I want to send some. There's a few Magic the Gathering creators that I'd love to send some of these to and be like, hey, here these are. I'd love for you to check them out. Yeah. So Magic the Gathering does actually do so they do a thing called secret layers where they will get artists who aren't necessarily like some of their normal go-to artists to create art. Usually they are popular artists, so or they know that there would be a demand for these cards. And they do a limited release of them that are available. I don't fully know how the whole secret layer stuff works in terms of like getting it out there so that they where they know who like words. I wouldn't know how to be like, hey, if you're interested, here's my stuff. I think it would be a lot of fun to do some like cards for Magic the Gathering, especially depending on the set or things like that. But again, my art style with the sort of art that I do is not the sort of like general art that they do in Magic the Gathering. And so it is most definitely suited for a secret layer drop or something like that. Hey, I appreciate it, Wolf. So for artist secret layers, um, usually what they do is they hire you to do a certain amount of cards. I would say it's usually between like 4 to 6, somewhere in that range, generally speaking, from what I've seen. And you are just they give you pre-existing cards. You aren't creating something from scratch. They give you a pre-existing card, and it is for you to take and create your interpretation of what the art, if you were going to create art for that card, what it might look like. But like I know like my stuff would be fine with secret layers because they had a secret layer set by Luke Pearson. Luke Pearson, for those of you who are familiar with some of the stuff, Luke Pearson is a person behind the Netflix show Hilda. He's the one who did the comic for Hilda. And so his art is very cartoony and cute. And so knowing that they did a secret layer with his art and like had him do some cards and all that, like I know like it would be something where I could get hired on for a secret layer, but more likely than not, because again, I'm not someone who has a large following, it probably won't happen. It could. I'm not like, if it happened, that would be really cool. But yeah, I don't think it will though. But you never know. There's also like the reality of the other reason of me wanting to actually do all these and like run a Kickstarter, get them sent out, is because of the fact that with a Kickstarter, I can, like, if I get them sent out, one of the things I can do is be like, hey, there was actual demand for this stuff. It gives a credibility to it, that can get backed up. Because the other reality is, especially for something like actually doing it for Magic the Gathering, which is just Wizards of the Coast. They are a company that is owned by Hasbro. And, you know, it's just one of those things where with most companies, they're a company that is based off of, like with any company, they're based off of profits. And so they want to make sure that what they're doing is going to be profitable. Hence why they usually are reliant on, for secret layers, larger IPs or artists that have a large following, because they know that there will be Magic the Gathering players that will just get a secret layer because they're like, ooh, cards. But they also know that, especially for artists, that these artists have fans, and these fans will be willing to go and buy a set of cards from an artist that they like. Oh, I most certainly guarantee you there are people who have a whole deck that is only secret layers. Because here's the thing, there are people who will make decks who go, I like, I just like, I know of, I don't remember who was talking about it, if it was one of my friends or if I saw a video, but they knew someone who made a whole deck and every art had to be someone sitting on a chair. It didn't matter what the card was, but like the whole deck, it was just people sitting on chairs, and that was the theme of their deck. Whereas you have other people like myself who it's more like, oh, here's a card that I like and I'm going to build around it. Now I want it to have a theme. So like I have a deck that I've called Potatoes. And the whole concept behind that deck is it is Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings as the commander, and he just makes food. So is everything in the deck is to make food tokens. I have indeed one with potatoes. Because I have cards that like are able, because with food tokens you're able to sacrifice them and gain life. I have other cards in there that let me tap food tokens as mana. So I had things, and then I had something that I had doubling season, which means anytime I create a token, I create twice that many tokens. And so I had a Hobbit come out that created 1/1 white halfling tokens, but it created X, and I paid 8, so it was coming out with 16 of them. And then I had a thing that said every time I gain life, each creature gets a 1/1 counter on them. So then I was able to, I had enough food tokens that I was able to sacrifice 12 of them, I think it was. Which then, because of doubling season, each creature on the battlefield got plus 24, and I was able to swing for like I think it was like 469 damage or something like that. Oh, so again, I'm designing this as a basic land card. So this is what it would look like. So it's just a card you tap for mana. Um, I most likely would not be working on something like that would fit the full card if it was not a land card. All right, I think I got all the creatures. All right, so now we can go ahead and do the next levels of shading on them. Also, this will become a card. It's just, will it become an official card is the question. Which I don't think it will necessarily become an official card, but I know where to get cards printed so they are like they're the same like quality and print like weight, like the card weight and all that, where it's like an actual playing card. I know where to get that stuff printed, and I can do that and get them sent out to people. So all right, Parker, I appreciate you popping in and hanging out for a while. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you later. I find it amazing how much line art color can change this because like here it feels unwarped, but if I take that off, it hardens everything up, but then it just softens everything. Just a heads up, we're probably gonna just go for about another 45 minutes. I'm gonna try and finish up all the shading for the sea creatures in that time. More likely than not, I will be streaming again tomorrow. All right, there we go. That is pretty much what you do for the different fish. Now we got the big guy. Alright, now I gotta get these. Spikes. Oops, there we go. All right, we're now on to getting all the um, shading done that is on the ground. I realize I need to save. I haven't done that yet. We're also pretty much out of time, so we'll be finishing up here in just a second. Oh. The joys of having an absolutely massive file size. So, for those of you who are not aware, this is also recording a time lapse for me. It has been since the start. Cool. So, just an example, if I go here, I go to time lapse, it's under record time lapse. If I click export, it is taking a moment to open up the time lapse recording currently, because again, absolutely massive file size. So this is at a 30-second mark, just so you guys can get an idea where we're at. So 30-second mark, this is the speed paint at that time frame. So that is where it is at. So now if I go to all, I'm curious where it is at currently. It is up to 26 minutes, which is pretty great. So I get a very long format. I can make a long format video through this way. And can have a lot of fun with just that side of it. Anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves, because that won't be until the end. But anyways, guys, this is where I'm going to go ahead and end it. I appreciate you all. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll keep working on it then. I hope you all have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are, and I hope you're having an excellent holiday season as well. Until next time, peace.